Look around you, no one's coming to save you. No magic moment, no lucky break, no secret hand reaching down to pull you out of the hole you've been sitting in. You are the only person responsible for where you are and where you're going. You can cry about it, scroll through social media looking for sympathy, or keep telling yourself stories about why life is so unfair. But here's the truth: life is unfair, it always has been. The question isn't whether you've been wronged, it's whether you're going to sit in that misery or stand up and fight. Every second you spend feeling sorry for yourself is a second you're not building the life you want. Nobody respects weakness. Nobody admires self-pity. Respect is earned through resilience, through action, through the kind of unshakable mindset that refuses to stay down. You have two choices: stay on the floor and be forgotten, or get up, take control, and become someone even your enemies can't ignore. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. You're stronger than you think, and it's time you started proving it. Owning your situation means tearing the blindfold off and looking reality dead in the eye. It's about stripping away every excuse, every "it's not my fault" narrative, and admitting to yourself that where you are right now is the direct result of your decisions, your actions, and your inactions. That's the part most people can't stomach. They love to believe that the universe conspired against them, that bad luck just fell on their shoulders, that other people's choices determined their fate. Sure, life throws punches, and some are heavier than others. But once you start pointing fingers instead of taking the hit and adjusting, you've already surrendered control. When you blame, you hand over your power. When you own it, you take the wheel back. People love to say, "You don't understand what I've been through." And maybe they're right. Nobody else can live your pain. But the reality is, you don't need anyone to understand. You need to understand yourself. You need to recognize that whether you were born in the worst neighborhood, raised in a broken family, or betrayed by someone you trusted, it is still on you to decide what happens next. Your story can be a prison you keep repeating to justify your stagnation, or it can be the fuel that drives you to rewrite the ending. But it will never become fuel until you stop using it as a shield. Owning your situation is ruthless self-honesty. It's looking at your bank account and admitting you didn't manage your money. It's stepping on the scale and admitting you didn't manage your discipline. It's noticing your lack of results and admitting you didn't put in enough work, or you put in the wrong kind of work. And here's the thing, this doesn't make you weak, it makes you dangerous, because the moment you say, "This is on me," you remove every external obstacle's power over you. If it's on you, it's in your hands to change. Most people don't want to do this because it feels like self-blame, and self-blame stings. It's easier to stay in the victim's seat, because the victim has no responsibility. But that's also why the victim stays exactly where they are. You can't steer the ship if you're too busy pointing at the storm. Yes, the waves are high. Yes, the wind is against you. But so what? Nobody cares how bad it is. They care about whether you made it to shore. And if you want to make it, you have to stop shouting about the storm and start controlling the rudder. When you truly own your situation, you stop negotiating with yourself about what's fair. Fair doesn't matter. Reality doesn't care whether you think you deserve better. It cares about what you do relentlessly every day to earn better. That's why some people climb out of the deepest pits imaginable, while others, with every advantage, drown in shallow water. The difference isn't luck, the difference is ownership. Ownership doesn't wait for a perfect opportunity, it creates one. It doesn't cry over the rules of the game, it learns them, masters them, and then changes them. You can't rewrite the past, but you can control the script you're living right now. Every single decision you make today, what time you wake up, how hard you work, what you consume mentally and physically, who you spend your time with, those decisions are building the next chapter. And if you keep telling yourself that the chapter you're in was written by someone else, you'll never pick up the pen. Channeling pain into action is the difference between staying broken and becoming unbreakable. Pain is inevitable, loss, betrayal, failure, rejection, it hits everyone. But What you do with that pain determines whether it destroys you or forges you into something harder, sharper, and more dangerous. Most people take their pain and let it rot inside them. They sit with it, nurse it, replay it over and over until it becomes an excuse for why they don't try anymore. They tell themselves they're healing, but all they're really doing is hiding from the fight. Pain isn't meant to be a permanent place to live. It's meant to be fuel, something you burn to push yourself further than you thought you could go. When you channel pain into action, you refuse to let it sit still. You use it, every setback becomes a spark, every insult becomes a reminder, every failure becomes a map of what needs to be fixed. Instead of saying, "This hurt me," you say, "This taught me." That shift is everything. Pain by itself is just suffering. Pain directed into motion is transformation. The people who keep moving through it are the ones who wake up one day stronger, faster, more focused than they ever were before. The raw energy inside pain is unmatched. When something cuts you deep, you're already carrying an emotional charge. It keeps you awake at night. It gnaws at you when you're trying to focus. Most people waste that charge on complaining or feeling sorry for themselves. But if you redirect it into action, into training harder, learning more, building faster, cutting distractions, it becomes momentum. Pain makes you sharper because you suddenly have a reason. You're no longer moving casually. You're moving with a chip on your shoulder. And that's when results start to multiply. Some of the most successful people you'll ever see weren't born motivated. They were born wounded. They went through something that lit a fire under them so hot it never went out. That's the secret most people miss. They think success comes from comfort, from perfect conditions, from always being encouraged. But in reality, it often comes from being pushed to the edge so hard that moving forward was the only option. Pain was their teacher, and they were willing to learn. They didn't need anyone to understand their struggle. They needed to make their struggle worth something. The truth is, pain can either make you bitter or make you better. Bitterness eats away at your energy and your time because you spend it wishing things were different instead of making them different. When you channel pain into action, you stop trying to change the past and start attacking the present. You start working when you're tired, showing up when you don't feel like it, learning new skills even when it's uncomfortable. You start moving with urgency because you know what it's like to lose. You've been burned, and you're determined never to feel that powerless again. Pain isn't a weakness, it's a tool. The sharper the pain, the more power it carries. The only question is whether you're going to let that power corrode you from the inside or push you forward like a bullet leaving the chamber. Every moment you spend dwelling on why it happened is a moment you could be building something because it happened. The choice is there every single day. Sit with the pain or move with it. Discipline over motivation is the mindset that separates people who dream from people who do. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings are unreliable. Some mornings you wake up ready to take on the world. Other mornings you wake up wanting to stay under the covers and disappear. If your progress depends on how you feel, you will never be consistent enough to see results. Discipline doesn't ask you how you feel. Discipline doesn't care if you're tired, if it's raining, if you had a bad day, or if the mood isn't there. Discipline is about doing what needs to be done because it needs to be done every single time without negotiation. Motivation fades. It gets crushed by distractions, by bad news, by a single hard day. That's why so many people start something strong and quit halfway through. They were relying on the emotional high that comes with a fresh start, not the daily grind that comes with discipline. Discipline is built in the small moments when nobody's watching, when you could skip it and no one would know, but you choose not to. That choice made over and over hardens you into someone who doesn't break when the excitement is gone. Think about athletes who train for years for one competition. They don't wake up every day feeling inspired. They wake up and train because it's on the schedule, because the work must be done whether their heart is on fire or not. They understand that discipline is what delivers results long after motivation has burned out. The person who relies on motivation will stop when they're bored. The person who relies on discipline will keep going until the job is finished. Discipline removes the need for decision making in the moment. If you have to decide every morning whether you feel like working out, studying, building your business, or improving your craft, you've already lost half the battle. Discipline turns those actions into non-negotiables. It's not "do I feel like doing it?" It's 6 a.m., so I'm doing it. That mindset cuts through excuses before they even form. You stop giving yourself options, and when there are no options, there's only action. People often confuse discipline with punishment, but it's the opposite. Discipline is freedom. When you're disciplined with your health, you have the freedom of energy and strength. When you're disciplined with your finances, you have the freedom to make choices without fear. When you're disciplined with your time, you have the freedom to control your life instead of being controlled by it. Motivation will never give you that kind of freedom because it's temporary. Discipline is permanent. The hardest part is building it, and that's where most people fail. They expect discipline to appear overnight, but it's forged through repetition. You do the work today, tomorrow, and the next day until it becomes automatic. And here's the truth: the first weeks will be uncomfortable. Your mind will look for every excuse to stop. But if you push through that resistance, discipline starts to feel like muscle memory. You stop asking if and start focusing on how well. Motivation makes you feel good in the beginning, but discipline makes you feel proud in the end. Pride in the work you've done, pride in knowing you didn't quit when it was easy to, pride in the consistency that most people can't match. That pride isn't built on excitement, it's built on showing up again and again no matter what. Surrounding yourself with fighters, not sympathizers, is one of the most powerful moves you can make if you're serious about growth. The people around you shape your mindset more than you realize. Spend enough time with those who constantly complain, make excuses, and play the victim, and you'll start to think and act the same way without even noticing. They'll pat you on the back when you fail, not to push you forward, but to keep you comfortable in the same low place they're in. They'll tell you it's okay, you tried, when what you need to hear is "get up, you're not done yet." Comfort sounds kind, but it's deadly to progress. Fighters are different. Fighters don't sugarcoat the truth, and they won't let you sink into self-pity. They challenge you. They remind you that you're capable of more and push you until you prove it. Being around fighters forces you to level up because they hold themselves to high standards and expect you to do the same. When you talk about your goals, they don't just nod and smile. They ask what you've done about them this week. When you start to slow down, they notice, and they don't let you hide behind excuses. Choosing fighters means choosing people who take action, who have discipline, who treat adversity as a test instead of a reason to quit. These are the ones who understand that progress requires struggle and who embrace it instead of avoiding it. Being around them changes the way you see challenges. Instead of seeing them as problems, you start to see them as opportunities to prove yourself. Their energy is contagious, not because they cheer you up, but because they make you want to fight harder. Sympathizers, no matter how well-meaning, keep you in the same cycle. They feed the part of you that wants to stop. They give you soft landings instead of telling you to grow wings. They agree with your excuses because it makes them feel better about their own. They'll tell you that life is unfair, that it's not your fault, that you've done enough already, but enough for them isn't enough for you if you want to go further than they ever have. That's why you have to be ruthless with your circle. Every conversation, every friendship, every relationship is either sharpening you or dulling you. When you're surrounded by fighters, laziness becomes uncomfortable. Excuses sound embarrassing. Low effort stands out. You start to hold yourself to a higher standard because you don't want to be the weak link. And the best part is, they're not competing with you to see you lose. They're competing with you to see you win bigger. They push themselves hard and expect you to do the same, not out of malice, but because they know that's the only way you'll both grow. It takes humility to be in that environment because fighters won't let you lie to yourself. They'll call you out when you're slacking, even if you don't want to hear it. They'll hold up a mirror and make you face your own excuses. That stings at first, but over time you start to crave it because you realize that honest pressure is a gift. It's how steel is forged: heat, pressure, and resistance. Without it, you stay soft. With it, you become unbreakable. Learning to thrive under pressure is what separates those who fold from those who rise. Pressure isn't something to avoid. It's the environment where real strength is built. When you're under pressure, there's no room for pretending. Every weakness is exposed, every crack in your mindset shows, and you have two options: break or adapt. Most people panic when they feel the walls closing in, but the ones who succeed are the ones who steady their breathing, lock in their focus, and see pressure for what it really is: an opportunity to perform at their highest level. Pressure has a way of stripping away the unnecessary. When the stakes are high and the clock is ticking, you stop worrying about distractions and start zeroing in on what matters. You don't have time for doubt, for procrastination, or for second guessing. That kind of focus is rare, but pressure forces it out of you. It demands that you either rise to the occasion or get left behind. And when you choose to rise, something changes inside you. You realize you can handle more than you ever thought possible, and that realization makes you stronger every time. The problem is, most people spend their lives trying to avoid pressure, thinking that if things are comfortable, they'll be better off. Comfort might feel good in the moment, but it keeps you untested. Without tests, there's no growth. Pressure is the test, the proving ground. It's where you find out if all your talk about discipline, resilience, and ambition actually holds up when the heat is on. You can tell yourself you're ready, but until you're standing in the middle of it, you don't really know. Thriving under pressure is about embracing it, even seeking it out, putting yourself in situations where the outcome matters, where your performance has consequences. It could be a big business move, a physical challenge, or a life-changing opportunity that demands everything from you. When you put yourself there willingly, you learn to handle that intensity without fear. You start to associate pressure with growth instead of with panic. That shift is powerful because now, when life throws something heavy at you unexpectedly, you're already trained for it. Pressure also exposes your habits. If you've been consistent in your preparation, pressure will bring out your best. If you've been cutting corners, pressure will crush you. That's why thriving under pressure isn't just about the moment itself. It's about the work you've done before it arrives. You don't rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of your preparation. The people who seem calm and confident when everything is on the line are the ones who have already fought those battles in training, in private, in the quiet hours when nobody was watching. When you start thriving under pressure, you begin to crave it. You want the big moments because you know they sharpen you faster than anything else. You welcome challenges that make other people hesitate because you understand that each one is a step toward becoming unshakable. You stop seeing pressure as a threat and start seeing it as a privilege, proof that you're in the arena, not sitting safely in the stands. Every time you face it head on, you come out harder, sharper, and more ready for whatever comes next. Committing to becoming unstoppable is about making a decision so deep, so permanent, that no amount of setbacks, criticism, or failures can pull you off your path. Most people treat commitment like a mood. They're committed when it's easy, when the sun is shining, when things go their way. But real commitment isn't tested when everything's smooth. It's tested when nothing is working, when you're tired, when you've been knocked down so many times you've lost count, and you still get up and keep moving forward. Being unstoppable means removing the option to quit completely from your mind. It starts with a decision, but it's reinforced every single day with action. You can tell yourself all the affirmations in the world, but if you're not backing them with consistent, relentless work, they're just words. Becoming unstoppable means proving to yourself daily that no matter what happens, you'll show up. You'll keep working when others walk away. You'll take hits and keep swinging. You'll hear no 100 times and keep asking. That persistence becomes your identity, and once it's part of who you are, nothing can take it away from you. Being unstoppable also means adapting. The path you set out on might change, the strategy might shift, but the mission stays the same. Obstacles aren't roadblocks, they're detours. You figure it out, you find another way, and you keep going. The people who stop at the first sign of difficulty never understand this. They see a closed door and turn around. Someone unstoppable kicks the door down, finds a window, or builds a whole new door if they have to. The outcome isn't negotiable, only the method is. You also have to accept that being unstoppable is going to make people uncomfortable. Your persistence will frustrate those who quit easily because you're a mirror showing them what they could be doing but aren't. Some will try to pull you back, tell you it's not worth it, tell you you've done enough, but when you're committed to being unstoppable, those voices don't slow you down. You filter them out and stay locked in on the vision you've set for yourself. You stop chasing approval and start chasing results. The grind of becoming unstoppable is not glamorous. It's early mornings, late nights, constant problem solving, and countless failures. But the difference is you're not emotionally tied to those failures as a reason to stop. You see them as part of the process, as proof you're still in the game. Every setback is a lesson. Every rejection is redirection. Every challenge is another rep in the gym of resilience. You keep going because stopping simply isn't an option you recognize. When you commit at this level, something changes in your mind. You stop wondering if and start thinking how. You stop asking whether it's possible and start figuring out what needs to be done to make it possible. You stop measuring your effort against others and start measuring it against your own potential. And with every mile you cover, every obstacle you smash through, you reinforce the belief that you cannot be stopped, not because you're lucky, not because you're special, but because you simply refuse to quit.